Well, I just bought this car from a buddy of mine. It's the second one I've owned. Exact same color, exact same year. This one has about half the miles the other one had, and it's in better shape. Anyway, I won't digress too much. It's a 2007 Dodge Charger Daytona RT with the Hemi motor. And I'm going to change the oil because this guy's owned it for 2 or 3 years. And he just drives cars and doesn't maintain them that great. The oil change was due a year ago, but it's just been sitting so much. He kept saying, "Oh, I got to go get the oil change," but just sat in his driveway, he never did. So I decided after I bought it, I will change the oil. So it's kind of weird. It's like some of the paint's coming off. Anyway, I bought the stuff to change it last week. I just haven't got it done. First thing I'm going to do, hopefully, is take the oil cap off. There we go. That way, you can get a little airflow when I pop the bolt off. And according to this, I need 5W20. I think that's what O'Reilly's gave me. Now, I haven't got under here yet and looked, but I think it's either a 15 or 17 millimeter bolt. Let's get under here and look. Now, as you can see, I put mine on ramps because I didn't feel like putting the jack under here and jacking it up. And according to a video I watched, the oil filter should be pretty close, and the bolt for the oil pan should be right there. Let me grab a couple wrenches here. Let's try a 17. I think it's going to be too big. Yep. Let's try a 15. Too big. The guy that video I watched, I wasn't too impressed because I guess this bolt got stripped out supposedly by the dealer, and he put some kind of a kit in there where you just pull out the plug and the oil comes out. It's magnetic. I don't know if I'd trust that or not, but this is a little smaller bolt. It's more like a 10 or 12. Let's see if I can squeeze under here where you guys can get a look at it. Can you see it there? Because I'm having trouble seeing what you're seeing. Anyway, you should be looking at the bolt there. I'll grab a couple more wrenches. Now, I had another one of these beasts. Oh, there's the oil filter right there. And guess what? There's a little drip coming off of it. I see it on the ground right there. And he told me it had a drip. He wasn't sure what it was. And I looked and I couldn't see it without jacking the car up, which I didn't do. But I see the oil filter is leaking. So the place, I think it was Jiffy Lube, didn't tighten the oil filter up. Something. Anyway, I'm going to get that off of there in a minute too. And I got a Wix oil filter. Crawl in here a little bit better. Yeah, that plug is not very big. It's not a 10, but it's probably like a 12. Let me grab a 12 and see what we have here. It ended up being a 13 millimeter. And I grabbed a 12 and a 13. Now, I put the 13 on there and I pounded on it with my hand. I couldn't get it to break loose. So I ended up hooking 2 wrenches together like this. That gave me more leverage. Then I was able to pound on the end here, with my hand just hammering on it. And then that cracked it loose. And it's almost all drained out of there. I'll give it a minute. And then I'll move the pan over and take the filter off. I'm hoping I have enough room up in there around that filter to use my oil wrench. Otherwise, I'll have to get ingenious and figure out something else. Sometimes I use water pump pliers. I have had to go so far as to take a screwdriver and pound it into the side of the oil filter and take it out that way, because you couldn't get anything on the filter to get it out of there. So let me let that drain for just a minute. And I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna Google search. Actually, I have the owner's manual. I'm gonna look in there. I think they said it takes 7 quarts of oil for this 5.7 Hemi. I'm gonna double check on that before I add the oil. I'll look in the owner's manual, see what it says. And then I'll get the filter out of there and I'll show you how I do that. So I use the new filter to find out what size oil wrench I need, and that one fits on there perfect. Don't forget, when you put your oil filter on, take some clean oil, because you're adding clean oil to the car. Why put dirty oil on your filter? That's what I say. And I did not warm my engine up, because what's the point? You go around, drive your car, warm it up, you're distributing oil all through your engine, and then it has to drain back down. Now it's been sitting all night. Now I did start it. I had to move it up on the ramps and let it sit for a few minutes while I was getting organized. But, you know, you don't need to drive it for 30 minutes and heat the oil up. It's already all drained to the bottom. It's all going to drain out, minus a few drops. Who cares about that? So, let me put the plug back in and see how hard it's going to be to get that filter out. I'm hoping I can get this wrench up in there and have enough room to work. I wished I hadn't thrown away the oil change sticker that was on the windshield. This oil, I'm pretty sure it was Jiffy Lube. I'll have to call the guy I bought it from and ask him. Look at the difference in those two filters. The Wix is a lot bigger. The Jiffy Lube must have used the smallest filter, the cheapest one they had, and it wasn't even tight. I tried to put the wrench on it and there was no resistance. I reached up there with my hand and it just unscrewed. That's why it was leaking. It's because I didn't even have it on tight. If that thing had come loose completely or a little more, we pumped all the oil out and ruined the motor. That's probably why the dipstick showed a little bit low. I tell you, you really got to be careful when you take your vehicles to places like Jiffy Lube or whatever. You almost have to double check their work so they don't ruin your car. I know from experience, this engine is $4,000 or $5,000, maybe more now. That was several years ago when I replaced the one in the other vehicle I had that blew because it had a radiator leak that I didn't keep an eye on and overheated the motor, dropped the valve seats into the pistons, hammered the motor. It was toasted and nobody wanted to touch it to rebuild it. Anyway, I'm going to put a little oil on there. I probably don't even have to, just because there's already oil up there on the surface. I could just screw this up there and it's going to seal off just fine. But, you know, don't always go the cheapest route. The video I watched, the guy used a Fram filter, and as far as I'm concerned, and most guys I know, Fram is junk. Get yourself a high quality filter. Wix is really good. So let's leave it at that. It wasn't hard to get it out of there. I didn't have to get my wrench in any particular position, even though I did. I got it ready and I didn't need it. So this is what I use for a drain pan. You can use anything. You could use a small bucket or, you know, one of those things over there. But this is an old paint pan I don't use anymore. It's big. It holds, well, there's 7 quarts in there right now. So now when I get done with that, I will take a funnel and I will dump the used oil back into the container that the new oil came out of. And then I just save them and I go down to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and let them recycle it. So I'm going to add the new oil now. I got the filter on. I always use a transmission funnel because it holds more. I don't have to worry about pouring slow because it'll go in there pretty quick. You know, they have small funnels, but you have to go really slow. Some guys do it without a funnel, but I don't want oil all over my engine. So this funnel was pretty dirty because I left it in a bucket of old oil over there and I forgot about it. So I had to clean it up really good. I was going to use my gas funnel, which is here, and it's got a screen in the side of it, which will catch any kind of particles, but sometimes it's kind of slow because that screen's pretty tight. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and dump this oil in here and go from there. So when you open up these quarts, they have a little aluminum foil top on them to keep them sealed. I usually just take my finger, well, there, poke it in the way, mush it, poke it, a hole in it, move it out of the way, and then just dump her down the funnel. Now this is for beginners that don't know what they're doing, not for people that do know what they're doing. You'll think I'm just wasting your time. Good to the last drop, right? Hey, if you miss a teaspoon, it's okay. Now, the big one, it just had a plastic cap. This is the cap that came off of it. And it also had a little thing on it, which I pulled off. And I managed to drop it right there. So I got to get my needle nose pliers and pull that out of there. Anyway, I got my 7 quarts in. Now I'm going to let it just sit for a minute while I go in and powder my nose. Then I'll come back out, put the cap on it, cap on the oil fill, the oil fill. And what else? Let's see, I got the bolt in the drain pan, so it's good. I got the filter on. It's tight, but not too tight. You don't need to take a wrench and tighten them down until you almost break something. You just put them on there hand tight and they're good. I'll get that done, then I'll start her up and I'll look for leaks, and then I'll take her for a little drive. Now the way this filter is, straight up and down, what you can do, a lot of guys do and I didn't do, is fill the filter full of oil. That way it'll start pumping oil to your engine right away. I already had it started once, so it's lubricated, so I think it'll be just fine. I didn't even think about it when I had it off, but anyway, I will be back momentarily. Well, I got her started up, let it run for a minute. I noticed the coolant was a little low, so I added about a quart. It's supposed to be between this level where the seam is, maximum level here, and it was down further than that, so I topped that off. Check the oil. Of course, it's going to be a little over full because I didn't start it yet. It's got to fill up the oil filter. Let's look under here. Let's see. There's the Wix oil filter. No drips. There's the drain plug. No drips. Now, my buddy loaned this to somebody. When they hit something, it's supposed to be a plastic shroud here. It's all gone. It was in the trunk of the car. I took it off. But if you look at that part of the frame right there, and then you look at that part over there, you see how it's smashed in. I don't know if they ran over a curb or what they did, but I guess loaning your car out to people is not a good idea. Unless my buddy did it himself or his daughter did it, he just didn't want to say so. He told me he loaned it to somebody and they did something. Well, at least I know now what his oil leak was. The oil filter wasn't tight. No big deal. Easy to fix. Everything else under here looks good, as far as I know now. It's funny, I had a dream about this car last night. I dreamt I was touching up the wheels, but they weren't these wheels, they were different wheels. And this wheel right here on the passenger side front was so loose it was ready to fall off. And then I woke up and it was like a nightmare. I don't know where that came from. Maybe because I was shopping for wheels last night for it. Hang on a second, I'll show you these. So originally this had chrome wheels on it. And you can see a little curb rash there. But somebody, I don't know if the guy I bought it from paid somebody, because he's not mechanically inclined. but somebody painted them black, and they didn't do that great a job. They probably didn't sand them or anything before they painted them, so the paint's coming off in places like that. What I'm thinking about doing is just doing a light sand and repainting them. Man, I'll tell you, a lot of curb rash here and there. The other car I bought from him, one of the wheels, or two of the wheels were bent, and tires were worn so bad the wires were sticking out. It was way out of alignment. This tire, I think, you can't see it now because I moved it, but a lot of paint peeling off of it. So I've been shopping for new wheels for it, new used wheels. I was hoping I could find something cheap. Look at that, all the chrome's almost showing through there. The paint just worn off. Yeah, whoever painted them didn't do a great job. A lot of curb rash. I'm probably going to sell the car because my wife doesn't want me to keep it because of the $7,000 I had to put into the last one after the motor went, and then a month later the transmission went. It was $4,000 for the motor plus labor to put it in, $3,000 to rebuild the tranny. Not a good experience. I spent more money fixing it than I spent on the car originally. I won't even tell you how much I paid for this one because it was a heck of a deal. Super clean. 76,000 miles on it right now. It's in really, really nice shape. Everything works. Air conditioner, heated seats, everything. I'd like to keep it, but it does, you have to practice self-control because this thing does want to get up and go. It's supposed to have a 0 to 60 in less than 6 seconds. I got it up to 90 yesterday on a nice clear patch of road. I didn't get it up to 100 because I started getting nervous. It's like, I don't want a ticket or go to jail for going 100. Anyway, it's got a lot of get up and go. Anyway, that's the oil change video. All I have to do now is get rid of my used oil and take them down and get them recycled. Any other videos or any other stuff I do to the car, I will do videos as I do it. I did videos on the other one. You can find those on my YouTube channel. They're there someplace. Anyway, thanks for watching. And, you know, if you have one of these cars or thinking about getting one, probably any Dodge Charger, this might help you out. But this is the V8. I guess the all-wheel drives have a 6-cylinder in them. Other than the ugly wheels, the car looks pretty nice. Thanks again for watching.